When was the first time that you realized there was what we can call a matrix?
Yeah, you need to like psyop yourself into success. He made millions by...
How is it to be in the circle?
I joined the War Room after I met Andrew and Tristan Tate.
How the War Room shaped you in the person you are today, or helped you, develop this?
It's the best gym I have ever seen in my life. And one of the funnest things you can do if you go to the gym is try to break down how much money you think they're making.
These people are making 6 figures with vending machines and with barbecue tools. Yeah. He's 23. How is this dark side of making this money?
He got cancelled from like a bunch of banks. And so he went and legally changed his name. But the reason I've done so well is because
And that's a valuable lesson, right? It's no downside. Or you win or you learn.
Yeah, you'd be surprised like how little it actually takes to make a 6-figure business. Minimize that tax obligation, and it's everyone's moral responsibility to not pay as much as they possibly can. If you're not attracting the right kind of woman into your life, you have to look at yourself and doing that.
Ladies and gentlemen, today a very special guest, somebody who escaped the matrix, and also we're going to talk about this Geo-Arbitrage, how to create residencies, citizenships around the world, and someone who is going to be in many podcasts this month, right? So it's a pleasure that he's here today with us. Stirling Cooper, how are you?
I'm fantastic, mate.
Yeah,
fantastic. Thank you for coming to Marbella, man.
Yeah, here we are. We made it happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, how is treating Marbella? How is treating you?
I love it.
Because it's a place you've settled, you've created a base, right?
Yep. Many reasons for moving out here, but do not regret it. It's probably the nicest place I have ever lived. It's got literally everything I want. Like fast cars, beautiful women, beautiful hikes, like mountains, scenery. It's got beach, it's got perfect weather. It's got like, it's safe, it's clean, it's got everything I want. So yeah, thoroughly happy with the decision.
And when did you hear about Marbella for the first time?
About a year ago, actually. It was like, I was actually driving through we're doing a car rally from London to Marbella. It was called the Cannon Run. I was doing it with Andrew and Tristan Tate and Justin Waller and a few other friends. And we ended up here. And my friend Luke Barnett, who actually helps run the studio, he kind of took us around and showed us a few places, showed us the gym, Real Club Padel. He showed us like a few clubs here. And that was my first like taste of Marbella.
Yeah.
It was, it left a lasting impression.
Yeah. And from that time, since the time that you said, I'm going to settle here and create more of a long-term base.
I didn't make the decision then. I didn't make the decision then. But I came out here again at the end of last year, October, November, for a fight camp, like a 2-month fight camp. Again, at Padel Club. And that, when it was quiet and I got to know all the other guys I know who live here, like my sort of group of friends here, that was when the idea started percolating in my head, like, maybe I should move here, and actually, because I've never like officially lived on the European continent before. So that was another thing. I wanted to, like, I've lived on the Australian continent, I've lived in England, I've lived in America, and now I've finally lived in Europe too.
Yeah. So yeah, because there's a lot of War Room members, something that we're going to talk about in this podcast, but many of them are here, right?
Yeah, there's a good crew of solid guys that I consider some of my closest friends living here now. Oh. And there's always an influx of guys from the War Room, our network, coming in and out of the town. So it's a really good networking place. And then on top of that, there's a bunch of dudes here who are just like professional bodybuilding types, like lots of really like big fitness influencers live here. Obviously big club owners, big restaurant owners, that kind of stuff. Like it's a surprisingly good place for networking, but people only really come here for 3 months out of the year. So that everyone who lives here. It's a really good network of people because they're the real hustlers, the real money makers, the business makers, right? And then like 3 months, like June, July, August, it's just packed for the tourists, and you can't move. It's just everyone's here. But the rest of the year, it's actually kind of a quiet beach town. So it's this interesting mix.
Yeah, so it's good weather, and also you have this group of people that are here all year long making money. And also it's great because you can gather them in different scenarios. You can go from bougie fancy restaurants like the one that we were at, we had dinner. You can go to the gym as well, very fancy, because they made it so big. I was here 3 years ago and I saw that gym, and the fighting ring, it was in the area, like the first area of the outdoors, but now they made like 3 times that. It's incredible.
They keep growing somehow.
It's like a stadium.
Man, anyone who comes to Marbella needs to go visit Real Club Padel. It's the best gym I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting bigger. They keep adding things to it. And if you one of the funnest things you can do if you go to the gym is try to break down how much money you think they're making. If you're into,
tell us the model. Tell us the model.
So one of the most genius thing they do is they don't have any water fountains in the gym. They only have 2 big vending machines of water bottles, and they know they refill it like twice a day. And I think we did the math on it at some point. I think they're making somewhere between $10,000-$20,000 profit a month off water alone.
Yeah.
And then you add in like all the other cool things they're doing, like all the other revenue streams they have, like the billboard advertising they've got going on, like the memberships, like everything else. It's a massive moneymaker, and it's an amazing gym. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from these guys. Like they're making money because they're doing a great job, and it's just a really good bit like a good lesson in like business.
Yeah,
I think just
create an amazing product.
Just walking into the damn thing and looking like at all the things they do. And it's just they constantly reinvest money back into their gym and back into the business. So it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's so good that we want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? And when you go there, you also see these high-performing athletes. Because when I was there, these people doing the handstands and doing just these calisthenics, crazy moves on the bars.
Yep.
So you can feel this energy of these people are doing something in life.
Yep. Loads of professional bodybuilders or like amateur bodybuilders in there too. So you walk in there, you're like, I'm fat or I'm skinny. Like you just this people like guys and girls walk around there like jacked. I'm like, damn,
looking amazing, right?
And then there's a bunch of professional like semi-pro fighters in the back. Like you got everything. It's very, very inspiring place.
Yeah, something that allows me to tell and everybody listening that you broke from this matrix, you escaped from this matrix is, for example, this little detail of analyzing the water bottles, and seeing like, oh, they are making profit, running these numbers, It's something that business savvy people do and analyze other business, how they are doing something great that you can implement into your own. And now we can go back to your origins. When was the first time that you realized there was what we can call a matrix, and how would you define it? And when did you say, my life is not going to be a 9 to 5? I'm going to make more out of my life out of that than this.
So I was working as a quality control chemist. So my degree is chemistry, of all things, and I worked for an oil and gas company. And my job was to basically set like diesel on fire and like test the ash for like impurities and stuff. It was very, very specific job, but that was very niche. And I'd test jet fuel, I'd test like other few other things. But basically that was the idea. Burn shit and then like test the ash. Yeah. Super exciting. But that was kind of my first like career job in my field of chemistry. And I remember like I'd worked in the job for a year and I was only making like $60,000, $70,000 a year or something. And it came around for like, I've been there for a year. They're like, oh, we'll give you a pay rise. I'm like, oh, excellent. And the pay rise was like $2,000 or something. And like when I was like, I should have been grateful, but I looked at that and I was like, so in 12 months, I could increase my revenue by $2,000, and there's nothing I can do that will change that number. There's nothing no matter how hard I work, no matter how many like hours I put in or don't put in, that number ain't changing. It's like a fixed thing, right? And that was kind of like this. That was like the crack. That was like the wait a minute. How on earth am I going to get financial independence and freedom of any kind if I can't even move the numbers at all? So that was my first foray down the path of like entrepreneurship. I ended up going to this conference for like youth entrepreneurs. It was a thing called the Blacksmith Liberty and Entrepreneurship Camp. It still runs to this day. And at the time, they invited 50 people from around the world who had to be under the age of 25. You'd send in a video application to attend this conference. They picked 50 people, and then you had to fly yourself to Vilnius, Lithuania, and they would put you up for a week in like these lakeside cabins, and 4 self-made American millionaires mentored us for a week straight. One of them is Craig Ballantyne. He's still doing this stuff today. Like he's a big entrepreneurial like coach. Dudes pay tens of thousands of dollars for a weekend with this guy. We got him for free for a week. It was nuts. It was 4 of these guys. And they basically went through explaining their businesses. There was one guy who, I forget his name, but he was like he made millions by having a vending machine empire in Japan. Like he introduced a certain like character or a cartoon sticker or something to vending machines in Japan and just went gangbusters. That's how he made his money. And I'm like, what the hell? Like this is how people make money. Being introduced to new ways of like building wealth that you never would have even considered. I met another guy at that conference. I think he's still doing it. His nickname was Michael Medium Rare O'Donnell, and he had like a online business selling like barbecue tools. And this guy was pulling in like multiple six figures, and he was like 23 or something. I'm like, what on earth is like? It was my first. I found out what a copywriter was at this conference. I met a guy who was a copywriter. Didn't know what that even meant. Like all these business concepts and entrepreneurial concepts, like I got dosed with for the first time, like en masse in a week. And went away, started my first business, didn't do very well, started another business, did much better, and then started this one and doing quite well. So it sort of like started with all, but just being thrown in the deep end, right, of entrepreneurship and ideas like that. And it was very, very cool.
And how old were you at the time?
I think I was 23, 24.
Okay.
When that happened. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
23.
And what about your circle? Because when you step out of this, when you have this epiphany, this realization, you don't have the circle yet that, for example, you have today.
Yeah.
When you come back from that hero journey, having that conference, etc., you go back and you tell everybody, hey, these people are making six figures with vending machines and with barbecue tools. Yeah. He's 23. I was like, what did they tell you?
Well, I don't think I really talked about the people I'd met. I sort of talked more about my own ideas, like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. And it was interesting. I remember one of my good friends, he said, I started, creating this business or whatever. And he said, man, I wish I had the balls to do what you just did, as in start your own business. And I thought about that for a second. And this guy was working for the government at the time, cushy government job. I think he still does the same cushy government job, actually. But I remember thinking, where's the risk here? Like, either I succeed at this business and it's cool, I'm exactly where I wanted to be, or I fail, but I will obviously learn a bunch of lessons of what not to do to apply the next time I try business. So I don't see where the downside is here. It's all upside. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm not making like 60, 70 grand by leaving my job. Okay, maybe I'm taking a massive pay cut for a few years. But whoop-de-doo, I'm young. I don't have a family. I don't have like responsibilities and stuff that impacts me that much. I can live off 2-minute noodles and like toasted cheese sandwiches, which is exactly what I did. Like I lived off of. I ate 3 things for about 2 years straight.
Stirling's diet.
Man, this is do not copy this. Is the worst diet possible.
Do not do this at home.
I had it was like eggs on toast. That was probably my favorite. Like just runny, like delicious eggs on toast. Toast cheese sandwiches and like 2-minute noodles. I was accidentally kind of a vegan or vegetarian almost by accident. But that was my diet for like 2 years.
By budget.
Just because it was the cheapest things I could eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate because mine was chickpeas, man. I was the chickpeas person, I can promise you, man. I was riding the bike in my beginnings. I was riding the bike just like 20 minutes outside the outskirts of Girona, which is a city in Catalonia in the north of Spain. 20 minutes of bike just to get 10% discount on the chickpeas because they were 10. It's true story, man. It's true story. I was just like, yeah, man, because in that supermarket, that's 10 cents cheaper. Yep. So I went there and just bulked, and I bought like 20 cans, and I put them in a backpack. And sometimes, in the handle, I had one back here, just to balance. So yeah, man. The beginning, the diets, right?
Bro, yeah. I wouldn't call it a diet, but it was
survival diet.
It was a survival diet, yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. So when you started with that, and that's a valuable lesson, right? It's no downside. Or you win or you learn.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's it.
Yeah. And you will win later if you learn something now, as you mentioned.
The reason my business has done so well now, I've only been running this business for 3 years, right? But the reason I've done so well is because there was about 6 to 8 years of failure from 2 other businesses that went into me not making those same mistakes again and learning how to do things quicker, better, like business lessons. They all built on the success I have now. It was only because I had 2 previous businesses that didn't do as well.
And what are the 2 lessons of these businesses failing that you still have to this day?
The first one was about like stock and stock inventory and like cash flow was a big one that I completely cocked up with my first business.
Complex.
The second one was about hiring and like hiring, outsourcing, and finding like people, like putting people in the right roles, right, and not getting like bogged down, and like the big issue I had with my second business, which was like a food delivery business, was we kind of capped our marketplace. We couldn't really grow because we basically reached all the customers we could in that city.
Oh,
and we were so isolated that you couldn't really deliver to anywhere else. So yeah, that taught me a bunch of lessons about like, target markets are important. Like the vehicle you use for making money is super important. It will dictate how much money you can actually make. Yeah.
Totally. Leverage, right?
Yeah.
And you can leverage, this is something Naval Ravikant talks about. You can leverage with code. You can leverage with media. For example, we are creating content and we are cloning ourselves.
Yep.
So while we're doing other things, people still watch our version of the past talking about something, right? You can leverage with employees, for example. So different forms of leverage. That now you are leveraging, for example, in the internet with your current business, that you can not have the problem of your second business, right?
Yes.
You literally have thousands of millions of people you can reach.
Yeah, exactly. My target audience or my customer base is basically men everywhere. And to be fair, like women to a degree as well.
Yeah.
Infinite reach, infinite exposure, infinite target market. So it's like, okay, it's a much better, smarter vehicle than the ones I chose before.
Because actually what we were talking yesterday is that or men buy the product for the girlfriend, or the girlfriend can also buy the product for the man.
Right.
So you can sell to pretty much everybody, right?
It works. Everyone has sex. So, everyone wants to have sex at least. So, everyone is very much my customer.
So when did you start this third business?
2020.
Okay.
And during the COVID like lockdowns and stuff.
And what was the idea that said, "Oh, I gotta try this"?
It was, I'd been percolating on the idea of like writing a book 6 months before that happened, and I actually had started I'd go into my shed on the weekends and I'd write like a couple of thousand words every day, and that eventually turned into the first book that I have. And COVID kicked in, everyone got sent home, you couldn't work, and I was like, well, I need to make money somehow. So I was like, well, I'll put this thing on the internet and I'll sell it. And then I kind of had a flashback to like all the things that I'd learned previously and all the people I'd met, like the copywriters, the guy who was selling barbecue tools online and stuff, like all these lessons that I had learned from these people over like a decade earlier. And I'm like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Like all this stuff fit into place. And that's kind of what gave me the leverage to really like 10x the business. Yeah.
So what's something that you implemented right away in this third business? And you're like, okay, this is the first thing that I got to do.
Right. Email marketing was the first thing I did.
You built a list.
Yep.
Yeah.
From day one, built a list. Yep. Because it's an audience that no one can really take from you to a degree. I mean, you could say you could get like cancelled by an email service provider. Super rare, super duper rare. I think that, like maybe it's happened to like Alex Jones. Maybe one other, like not many people, right? But YouTube channels get taken down all the time. Instagram accounts get taken down all the time. Twitter accounts get taken down all the time. So even your website hosting providers will cancel you. So building a list of an email list of customers and stuff is a consistent, reliable way to make sure you always have your most loyal followers there, like a way to contact them constantly.
Yeah. And what's the first hire that you did?
Who was it?
The first position.
My first hire was actually Dylan Madden, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, he was your copywriter.
Dylan, for a little bit. He did a few things for me. He reached out to me, actually. He pitched me. Was he the first? I think he was the first. And he said he did a little bit of email stuff, a little bit of Twitter stuff. I think a little bit of Instagram stuff. We didn't work together for like ages. Maybe I used him for maybe like a month or two. Because then I eventually like found someone for each of the different roles, But he was kind of doing a bit of everything at once. But I think it was Dylan, yeah.
Wow.
Oddly enough.
Shout out to him.
Because you've done...
He's been in the podcast.
Yeah, I thought so. That's why.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah. Nice.
So, and you started with no followers at that time. Like you started building everything
Yeah. Well, I had an Instagram and I had a Twitter account, but they had a little bit of a following from my adult career. Mm-hmm. But what I quickly realized is that that audience that I had built based upon like shooting pornography, basically, was not the same audience that I have today. Totally different minded people. Mm-hmm. I thought that they would be interested in the things I had to offer. Turns out I was completely wrong. So basically, I had to completely rebuild my audience anyway.
Imagine.
So I had a bit of a head start with that. YouTube started from scratch, though, completely from scratch. And that's my biggest channel. That's my biggest actual audience now, anyway, which is my YouTube. What are we at? 273,000 right now. Well, not too bad.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting learning lesson. That like, you could have a big audience, but if it's not the right people, it's basically useless. Mm-hmm. You know, like I think my buddy Miquel Gironès On, he has a really interesting concept where he will cull his Instagram following routinely every month. He'll actually make people make them unfollow him because he has a very good point. He'd rather have like a smaller following of people who engage with all of his content than a bigger following of people who only engage, like only 10% of them engage. Mm-hmm. Right? It's far more valuable to have like as much of your audience as possible engaging with your content all the time. So he makes a really pretty good point.
Yeah, totally. There's a concept also in the internet somebody popularized. It's the 1,000 true fans.
Yes.
And he mentions that if you have 1,000 people that are raving fans that talk about your product, your service to everybody, even if they pay you $1,000 each, you're boom, $1 million a year.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's you'd be surprised how little it actually takes to make a 6-figure business. Let's say the average person could with enough focus, dedication, and like a really good niche, a specific niche, they could quite easily build a 6-figure business.
What's something that you see in people that they don't realize that you're like, I can't understand why more people don't realize that?
That it is immoral to pay tax. That's what I would say. I'd say it's that's yeah. I see a lot of people making the complete opposite argument that paying tax is like some kind of moral thing for the benefit of society. No, it isn't. It is your moral obligation to pay as little tax as possible. I can't see why people don't think that.
That's a good point, because this is something that you build for yourself, this Geo-Arbitrage, this understanding. It's like, look, this chess game. We have the board, we have the squares, we have the pieces. What's the difference between a novice that loses every single game and a grandmaster that just crushes it? If they have the same pieces, the same board, right?
Yep, they have the same tools at their disposal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I do pay tax. IRS, I pay tax. Just make sure that's perfectly clear. I do actually pay tax. But I have a good accountant, right? And
we make sure that you pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the point is, like, there are lots of different tools that are totally, everything's completely legal, completely above board, but there's different tools and mechanisms you can use, depending upon like where you're from, where you're born, where you live, like your current residency, your current passport, whatever, the nature of your business. Like there's ways you can like minimize that tax obligation, and it's in my opinion, it's everyone's moral responsibility to not pay it, to not pay as much as they possibly can.
That's a good motto, to put in a billboard in some big city of the world.
Well, think about it.
It's immoral to pay taxes. Wake up!
What does it get used to? Okay, if you're an American taxpayer, your money gets primarily used to blow up innocent people in the Middle East. That's what your money goes towards. Like,
and people are like, no, they're for the roads. It's for the healthcare.
It does not build the roads.
It's for my grandma that is in the hospital.
If it was for the roads, if it was for all the healthcare and stuff like that, I could see an argument for it. But American roads are crumbling. Infrastructure in America is going to hell. The healthcare is trash. They ain't going towards any of that. So it's going to line the pockets of the CEOs of like Raytheon and what's the other one? Lockheed Martin, and it goes towards like Nancy Pelosi's portfolio. Like it goes towards all these corrupt people. It's just like, really, like you're gonna make it like, is it a C corp or an S corp? Make an S corp. Be like a freelancer, even if you're working as actually have a full-time job. Just make that little change so you can minimize the amount of tax you pay, because it's not morally right.
Totally. And there are many ways, both for US citizens, it's a bit more difficult, more complex, but non-US citizens, God damn it, do something about it. It's much easier when you are not a US citizen or resident, no E2 visa, no green card, etc. It's much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shockingly easy as a non-US citizen.
Yeah. And actually the first step that I always share is use the Geo-Arbitrage, something that we were talking about, this earning dollars, earning euros, and spending pesos in Colombia, in Mexico, in Thailand, wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what's something that you would advise the people that are starting out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously depends upon the nature of your business. Depends upon how much location freedom you have in that business. I understand not every business is going to be location free, right? If it is, though, if you do have the ability to literally pack up and move wherever you want, I would say to like a young hustler, like take advantage of that geo-arbitrage. Like go to Bali, go to Thailand, go to Florianopolis, go to like Buenos Aires. Like you can earn in dollars and like you can live like a king, but don't live like a king. Just keep a lot more of your cash so that you can build that wealth stream, build that income stream, and start putting it towards things that will yield a bigger return, right? Or double down and reinvest it into your business so you can leverage it, rather than like living in like San Francisco or something, paying an arm and a leg for rent and not really getting anything for it.
Yeah.
And I think the big reason people won't do that is because they don't want to. They're worried about like not being around their family and friends so much, and I've never really had a problem with that, like packing up and going. Like you have a mobile phone these days. Like you can stay in touch with family and friends, no problem. But I think people are kind of afraid of that first step of like leaving the country and going somewhere else on their own.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. It's you'll learn a lot about yourself by putting yourself in that kind of uncomfortable situation and learning to like think on your feet, learning a new culture, learning a new language. Like all these things are like surprisingly these are all actually useful entrepreneurial skills, right? Because it's all about problem solving and overcoming challenges constantly. So it's all really good for you.
Totally, and also you can make it easier at the beginning. For example, if you are from Spain, you can go to Canary Islands. You have a different, you have great quality of life, tropical. It's a place that I started. For example, I went from Barcelona, Madrid. I was living in Madrid at the time. Boom, fly to Canary Islands. I was like, okay, if this is not going well, I just have to catch a 3 to 4 hour flight, go back home, hustle from my parents' home again, make more money, and then catch another flight, to try it again.
Easy.
But no, it worked from the first attempt. It was like it take time, but it worked, and it was feeling confident that being there was close enough. If you are from Australia, you can go to Bali, you can go Indonesia, Thailand. It's quite close from Australia.
Super close.
So you can if you are from the States, go to Mexico. So all these types of regions that you can use for geo-arbitrage, but close enough from home that the risk of, the family, whatever, it's just a 3 hour flight. Come on.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So I would highly encourage that. I mean, I think I did a lot of traveling in my early 20s, like backpacking, like broke backpacking, to be fair. But I don't regret doing that at all because it gave me like a wealth of knowledge about the world, about different cultures, about like problem solving, again, like we said before. So it's... Would I do things? I mean, probably would have been smarter for me to focus, like double down on like business at that age rather than doubling down on like traveling at that age. But I still learned a lot of lessons from that I apply in my business today. So.
And now moving to the current level, geo-arbitrage is great for the beginnings to that, but when you're making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a month, what's something that you discovered that excites you, from this world of, let's call it geo-arbitrage, or using this world chess game? That's like, I'm enjoying it now that I make more money.
I think. Well, when I realized that it was important to have like multiple bank accounts in different countries, that was like once I saw like, okay, if this account gets shut down, I'm in trouble, and then I started to like feel a lot safer with my accumulation of wealth when it's diversified through a few different currencies and a few different accounts. Because if it wasn't, it's like one government has all the control over you. And a flip of the switch, push of a button, bang, gone. So I feel a lot safer, I'd say, having started playing with that.
Yeah, also multiple companies with not in your personal name. that can also be a good option.
Exactly. That would be a very smart idea.
Yeah, if somebody did it, that would be so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn it. We should be taking notes and apply that after this podcast. What do you think? Yeah, also something that would be very, very smart, I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend, now that I'm thinking about it, is you can change names in your citizenship. And that is something that some people do, especially when they have multiple citizenships. And they can change the name, and it also gives you, a new identity, but something legal. You just go, like in Australia or in Spain, I can go and change my name from Miquel to another one.
Yep.
So once you grant a citizenship in some country, you can legally change the name. So that's something that you can then catch planes, and one day Stirling is catching a plane, another day somebody else is catching a plane.
Someone else is catching a plane. I actually have a friend who did that in England. I'm not going to obviously say his name, but he...
Which one of the names?
He was... this guy was a... I think he was like a crypto... not trader, but like... what's the word for it when like... You send me Bitcoin, I give you cash? Like...
yeah, like on ramp, off ramp.
Yeah, over the counter. That was it. Yeah, it was like
OTC.
It was an OTC guy basically for Bitcoin. And what had happened is like banks had just started. Basically, every bank just refused to work with him anymore. Like he got cancelled from like a bunch of banks, and so he went and legally changed his name, and then poof, he was able to keep working again. Simple as that. So
voila.
Yeah, super interesting. I'd never known anyone who'd like changed their name before I met this guy, and I was like, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yeah. And these are things that I wish, and maybe these are things that are talked about in the war room or in these meetups, because these are high level things that many people don't share in the internet. But it's really interesting. Is when you start making money. I found this fascinating. That's why I put my full time into this company, into this industry, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, when you start hanging out with guys who have disposable income and they're trying to find ways to like either double it or keep it, protect it, protect their assets, all this sort of stuff. These are the kind of conversations you start having, like about multiple residencies, multiple bank accounts, passports, all this stuff. It becomes a very common topic of conversation at a certain level.
Totally,
very, very, very common.
Yeah, store of value like gold or crypto, or also having these off-grid pieces of land. Yeah,
super common. I think I'm the only person in my circle who's currently talking about like off-grid farms and shit. But I'm going to try and convince everyone to go down that path.
The reason is for food, for safety. Is it from you want to build a bunker? In case of
all that.
All of that.
All
of the above.
It's primarily for health. More health than anything else. Because like, if I know that meat on my plate came from that cow, like. Or the eggs on my plate came from those chickens, like, and I know what I fed those chickens. You're intimately in touch with your food source, right? Mm-hmm. So I think one of the biggest problems in America, at least, is the food. The food is basically poison, like across the board. Mm-hmm. So getting back to basics, man, like you can only really guarantee, and it's getting worse in other countries as well. Like the sort of industrialization of food is not helping anyone. So I think you got to go back to basics, like grow your own meat, grow your own chickens, grow your own vegetables, like know what gets put into the soil, keep it clean, keep yourself healthy and keep your family healthy. Like, because that's the way I look at it, man. If I'm going to have kids, I want to make sure my kids are like have an edge. I want to make sure that and the biggest edge I could possibly think of giving them is health from the start. That's it. Like if you can raise a kid like straight up healthy, they're going to kick ass. Like, cause everything, their brain's going to they're going to be smarter, they're switched on, like more confident. Everything's going to be like 100%, And I think that starts with like diet and health and nutrition. So yeah, like teeth, for example, like we have this epidemic in like the Western world of like our wisdom teeth are supposed to fit in our mouth and people get them taken out and stuff. And there's a really interesting book by Weston A. Price. I think, what was the name of the book? It's something to do with like diet and like basically the screwing up your teeth. Basically, that's the topic of the book. And like you look at hunter-gatherer tribes, they've got perfect teeth. Wisdom teeth fit in the mouth perfectly. Perfect smiles, no problem. You look at old skulls that they dig up from like Roman times, etc. Teeth are perfect. What's going on now? We need retainers and braces and shit, and we get our wisdom teeth taken out. There's something wrong, and that something is our diet. it's malnutrition basically from like childhood. So if you fix that at the very beginning, whole bunch of stuff fixes itself.
And generally, do you see yourself living in off-grid most of the time? Because I know you enjoy this life of now here, now there. You're gonna catch so many flights in the following days, weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like from there to then this, in your rocking chair with the straw in your mouth, just with the hat. I can see you. Yeah, you can picture that right now. You're like this, watching the cattle. Do you see this for yourself right now, or is more of an investment for in 10 years? I don't know.
It's an investment I see myself there in about 5 years.
Like really chilling this much, is reducing the amount of
definitely reducing the amount of travel. Maybe not. I'll still work
online. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely reducing the amount of travel. Yeah, I actually don't like flying. Hate flying. I'd much rather drive somewhere, to be honest. That's why I got a car. So it's my jet setting kind of lifestyle is really more for business reasons than it is for like pleasure and personal reasons. If I'm going to Dubai, if I'm going here, I'm going there. It's mainly for podcasts. It's mainly for work. It's banking. It's all these different things. So it's like, okay, once the infrastructure is set up and like, the machine's spinning, which it basically is. There's less of a need for me to bounce around like that. Yeah. Maybe I'll make my living being a rancher. Who knows? Instead,
you can also create online courses on how to raise cattle.
Look,
how to feed the animals.
There's a
wait for it, 2027 coming soon.
There's a market for raw milk. I know there's a market for raw milk.
Totally. Yeah, and going back to this life that you have right now. This complexity, of course, you are making money, and when you make money at these levels, it's because you handle complexity and risk at a higher level than other people. People that don't handle risk or complexity are making a 9-to-5, are making $1,000, $2,000 a month. The more you go up, this is my theory, right? The better you are. For example, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, their daily day, it's full of more risk and more complexity than ours.
Yep.
Right now.
That's a good point. That's very true.
So how is this dark side of, making this money or having multiple companies, multiple bank accounts, etc.? How is this complexity? How do you deal with it?
It's the challenge is trying to remember it all and remember all the different things that are going on, like all the different like cogs in the machine that you've built. That's actually the hardest part. It's not even like building them and putting them in place. It's remembering where they are and which ones are moving. So after a while, it can get like there's so many. I mean, we've had these conversations before. Like you'll have to ping me every few months, like to remind me about something I'm working on with you. Because I just forget it. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good idea, and then I'm over here doing something else. Oh yeah, that thing is still running. Like, so I think I wouldn't necessarily call it a dark side. It's just you have to be comfortable with having with juggling multiple things in the air at the same time, and be totally okay with that. Because if you can't, and that is, you could say it's kind of stressful, but you very much get used to that. It's like it's like the default,
Yeah.
So like my default level of stress for me isn't very stressful. But if you were to take me from like 5, 6, 8 years ago and put me in this position now, it would be very stressful. But I've built up that tolerance over enough time. Yeah.
That's totally, I was going to say that. Imagine yourself 10 years ago handling the life that you have right now.
Yeah.
You would break down.
Yeah, I think I'd do well, but the average person wouldn't.
Yeah.
The average person wouldn't.
But then the question is, why 10 years ago you were not here, If you could have handled this, you would have done it.
True. Yeah. I don't think I had I'll take that back then. I don't think I had the skills to do what I do now. I hadn't learned the things I needed to be able to run this business.
Yeah. And when you talk with other people that, are at this level, you found them, for example, you mentioned in the War Room, people that you are meeting in person here in Marbella, or places of the world. Tell us a bit more about how's this story of you joining the War Room and how the War Room shaped you in the person you are today, or helped you, develop this setup.
So I joined the War Room after I met Andrew and Tristan Tate.
Which was?
Met them in Vegas in like 2021.
2021.
Yeah. And I was actually fortunate enough to meet both Andrew and Tristan Tate, and I met Justin Waller at the same time. I met a bunch of other War Room guys who are still friends to this day, and I got to like see what the organization was like, see the men that are in it and the caliber of the guys, and I was just like thoroughly impressed the moment I walked in the room. I was like, yep, I want to be in this room instantly. And now one of the reasons I moved to Marbella, there's a bunch of War Room Gs here who I catch up with all the time, and there's some of my closest friends now, and it changed me in the sense of it taught me the importance of brotherhood. Because prior to joining the organization, I was very much a lone wolf. I was very much I don't need anyone's help, I can do it all by myself kind of guy. And it taught me the importance of having people you can trust in your life, in your businesses, doing business with them, helping each other out. Really emphasized that for me, and yeah, just showed me the power of that. Showed me the power of a strong network of guys, and how it can like even if and I don't necessarily really do business with that many guys in the War Room. It's more the fact of I can bounce ideas off guys because I know they're in a similar mental space or in a similar space, like in their business journey, and they're gonna actually give me some decent advice. Whereas the average person, if I came to them with a question about like, yo man, how do you set up, like, how do you get a bank account in Dubai? Like, they're probably not gonna have a clue. The average person ain't gonna have a clue about that, right? But certain network of guys that I hang out with now, the War Room guys are gonna be able to give me an answer to something. Basically any question I possibly have about anything, be it cars, real estate, online business, real world businesses, investing, trading, crypto, like anything. There's a guy I can talk to who is an expert in it in the War Room, and I can be like, "Yo, man, what's the deal with this?" And I will get a great answer, and it just shortcuts my learning curve for so many things. It's crazy. It's a complete hack.
Yeah, speed.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
I see. And this is something that, how does it work? If you would describe it to somebody who doesn't know what the War Room is, what they can expect from it. Cool. Because it also changed, I guess, from 2021 to today. Yeah,
it's very much evolved. So it's both an online and an in-person like organization. So you can connect with everybody online, and basically any like I said, any kind of topic you could possibly think of that guys would be interested in, we have conversations and chats about. So like cars, real estate, like I said, trading, crypto, blah blah blah. We have talks. We have rooms talk about dogs, talk about being a father. We have like everything you can possibly think of. So there's that aspect to it. So you can kind of get the information from anyone you want, and then we have the in real person, like real life events, where it's maybe they're dinners, maybe they're cigar nights, maybe they're like more elaborate events. But it's really really good for getting to know guys in your local area, and or you can travel. Gives you an excuse to travel to different places and meet up with other War Room Gs there, and sort of really build your like network of guys, because that's kind of how I met all the guys here in Marbella. When I came out here last time, like a year ago for the first time, met a bunch of them. I met a few of them at different events and stuff, and then we just clicked. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to move here because I want to be surrounded by that. So, yeah, very, very. Yeah, it's not like anything else I've ever seen on the planet. It's very hard to describe how much fun it is being part of the organization.
Amazing. Yeah. And compared to other members of the War Room, you are the one that probably spent a good amount of time, or one of the top amount of time, with Andrew, Tristan Tate.
I wouldn't. I'm definitely not one of the. I've not spent the most time with them. That's for damn sure. I'm not in like the organizational part of it.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys who are like actually help to run the machine, so they're
more in touch.
Yeah, a lot more in touch than Andrew and T. Yeah, I've just spent time being a dumbass with them, like going to clubs, driving cars or whatever, just doing stupid guy shit with them.
Yeah,
less of the businessy, important side,
on like personal side.
Yeah.
How is it to be in the circle?
They're just fun guys, man. They're really fun. They're genuine. They're very loving, very very generous guys. Incredibly generous guys. People don't really appreciate that. It's funny. They because they're brothers, right? They've been playing practical jokes on each other their whole life. It's kind of funny. I've noticed, like, I first noticed it with Andrew and Tristan, and then as I got to know more successful guys, I realized that every successful man kind of bonds with other successful men over their sense of humor. And most successful dudes have the sense of humor of a 13-year-old child. Like they're just
define that.
Yeah, they just make stupid jokes all the time, bro. It's really, really common. So I mean, you know this forecast, like Luke's got the sense of humor of like a teenage boy. It's the same thing. So I think that's what it's like hanging out with them. It's like being a teenager again. Mm-hmm. And that's good because and they kind of give that to each other as well. They keep each other like young, and like that. It's like that childhood, like that childlike curiosity and that childlike playfulness. They've never lost it, and that being around them it's kind of like infectious like that. It's really, really powerful energy. Like it's not what you'd expect.
Yeah, because you have the internet version, right, of what you might see in the clips, etc., and then real life.
Yeah, and I think personally, I think them in real life is amazing guys. I know they're amazing guys. So as well, I'll always support them. I'll always like speak up for them whenever people are trying to tear them down because I just know what they're like in real life. So it's hard to see guys like that get dragged through the mud and like shat on by fucking all mainstream media. Everyone has an opinion on them and they don't actually know them. It's just like, it's kind of frustrating seeing that.
So it's a safe space, the war room, and the people that you meet to be this teenage vibe that you mentioned, to be yourself, because maybe it's difficult to be like this with business partners or to be with team members, etc. So these people get to know you and you can be yourself. Yeah,
you can relax, you can be yourself, there's no cancel culture. Like you're not going to get cancelled for having the wrong political opinion. You're not going to get cancelled for having the wrong opinion on this or that, whatever. And I think that when guys have that freedom to like speak ideas like without worrying about being judged, they can be critiqued on those ideas, and they can have like a battle of wits around stuff and come out the other side like with a firmer understanding of reality and the way the world works. And we've lost that a bit because we don't really have male only spaces anymore. Like they basically all got rid of them in recent, in our generation. So like even as a kid, like have the Boy Scouts has now got girls in it, for example. We used to, when I was a kid, it was like Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. Cool. Like, why do we need to like add women to like a male space? We don't. The only purpose for it is to like separate, like sort of stop dudes from having those like strong brotherly bonds, because dudes are stronger when they're banded together like that. It's a basic foundation of like tribes. So
totally. And also something that all great men have been tested by God, by life, by the universe, however you want to call it. What's something that, now we talk about brotherhood, and sometimes when you might feel down, what's something that life tested you that people don't know about you?
They might know this, but my mother passed away from cancer about 6 years ago, and that was quick. Like it took it really fast. And learning to like step up in my family, kind of, my dad was like crushed by it, sister was crushed by it, and I kind of learned to like step up and I guess be like the not head of the family, but kind of lead the family in a different, in a strong direction. So yeah, being one of my proudest moments actually was speaking at her funeral, like her wake. The address and the speech I gave about her, celebrating her life, was really, really good. And that kind of helped me get over like the loss, and helped me to like really step up and mature in a weird way, like looking for the silver lining in something. Helped me to really mature, step up, learn to like work on myself a bit more, build my business, build my relationships, look after my dad, look after my brother, look after my sister, like, and kind of be a bit of a role model like that to my family. Yeah.
It changed the way you see death. In this case, for yourself as well.
Very much.
The approach.
Very much.
In what way?
Maybe think about death a lot more, because you think you're young man.
Invincible.
You think you're kind of invincible, don't you? Well, not when you lose a loved one anymore, right? It's real.
Yeah. It's deep, talking about these topics. I appreciate that you're sharing this here.
No problem.
Yeah, and totally, I think when you think about death, this is something that, for example, me, Stoicism, I read a lot about Stoicism, Seneca, Epictetus, all these people 2,000 years ago, talking about things so present to this day. And I'm like, what you mentioned, we think that we are invincible, but speed, the time is limited. Sometimes I postpone things, and by the fact of thinking about my own death and how sudden it can come, it's like, I gotta act on today. Cannot delay it more.
Very much so. It makes you think about legacy, makes you think about family, makes you think about like having an impact, right? Doing something that's fulfilling, not going through like the routine and mundaneness of life. Because if every day is exactly the same, you'll wake up in 5 years, 10 years time and wonder where the hell all that time went. If you're not pushing yourself, not going through any challenges, not going through any obstacles like that, it's just going to be over very, very fast.
Yeah. What's something that you would share with your future children that, for example, you learned from your dad or from your mom? A value that you took from them and be like, I want to continue that.
Yeah, I think my mum's charity would be it. Like, she was the most selfless person I've ever met. Like, literally every waking moment of her life was dedicated towards somebody else. Like, I mean that without any exaggeration. Like, she was a volunteer in every aspect of the community. And I think that's something I'd love my kids to know about their grandmother. Is just how much she gave to, like, her loved ones and her community. And it's something that they should emulate.
And from your dad?
His work ethic. The guy just didn't stop working.
You got that from him.
He didn't. My dad's not. I wouldn't say my dad's like. He's not dumb, but he's not a philosopher. He's not a thinker. He's not like an intellectual of any kind. He's a mechanic. But he knew how to do one thing very, very well. That's fix cars, and that is all he's done his whole life. And he's 73 years old to this day, still working every day, doesn't stop. Arms like tree trunks from turning wrenches all day. He had a bunch of kids he had to feed, put a roof over their head, put food on the table. He just didn't stop working ever. I'm like, probably where I get it from. Probably.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to have a dad like that.
So having these values from your family, what values do you look for in a woman that will be the mother of your children that you want to have in the future?
I think like a nurturing nature to them. Like you can kind of tell when a woman is like derives joy from like helping others, and I think that's a really like the number one trait for a mother is a woman who will get joy from even if it's simple things like cooking or cleaning around the house or whatever, or just walking up. If I'm sitting there at the computer and she just starts to give me a massage out of the blue, like little things like that is like, okay, these are giant green flags for like a woman who is going to be selfless and is going to give when it comes to having kids and raising those kids. She's going to be like making sure that they have the best life possible, and not being selfish. What I see, I mean, maybe I'm seeing a certain part of the internet too much, but you do see a lot of like single mothers these days who seem to be extremely selfish in regards to like they put themselves before their kids. Let's just say that, and their own like happiness and their lifestyle before thinking about the actual child. And I would definitely want a woman who's the complete opposite of that, who would 100% put our kids first before herself, because I'm going to put our kids first before myself. So, it would only make sense.
Yeah, totally. And where do you plan to find this person, or how do you plan to attract this person? What qualities as a man? Because you talk about, the sexuality, you also talk about the energy that a man needs to portray in a relationship to attract this kind of woman. What would you say to people that, it's important to attract this person?
So you need to be, if I'm obviously have a standard for the kind of woman I want to be with, so I have to be worthy of that standard. I can't just sit around and like demand that I get this perfect woman or whatever, right? So I have to be worthy of that. And for me, being worthy of a feminine woman like that requires me being like a capable leader. Like I have to be like this. Not that I wouldn't be that anyway, but it's what attracts that kind of a woman is being a man, like taking all the responsibility and authority. Like I am responsible for everything that happens. Don't worry, I've got it. You know, and that manifests in the little things. Like, cool, I'm sending an Uber to her house to bring her here if we go on a date. I'm the one picking up the bill. I'm the one opening the door. Et cetera, et cetera. I'm the one holding her hand and leading her down the stairs. It's little manifestations like that that build on like this idea of being like a masculine leader, like, and being the authority in the relationship, right? So if I'm going to attract the right kind of woman, the feminine woman like that, I have to be basically living up to that masculine role.
The other pole.
Yeah, you've got to be the complete polarity. It's perfect, right?
Yeah.
I think, guys will kind of bitch and moan a bit on the internet that women aren't feminine enough. Okay, maybe that's true. I'm just definitely true.
Maybe they are not masculine enough.
Yeah, well,
either,
okay.
well.
So you've got to embody the masculine polarity as well, because there are plenty of feminine women around. They're not in abundance, but they are around, and they're going for the guys that are embracing their polarity. You know, who are taking responsibility, being accountable, being an authority figure. It's like, okay, they're the ones that they're going to be naturally attracted to. So if you're not attracting the right kind of woman into your life, you have to look at yourself and be like, okay, well, what do I need to become to be worthy of that kind of a partner? So.
Totally. For everybody that listened to our advice of the Geo-Arbitrage and now are going, for example, to Bulgaria to date somebody, and I'm saying this because we came to the conclusion of what are the 3 sentences that somebody need to know when they go to Bulgaria. They don't speak anything Bulgarian or any other country.
What was it?
You have it on your phone.
I wrote it down. Hang on.
While you're searching for that, to give some context to people watching, we are yesterday
Found it.
with more Bulgarian gentlemen, and Stirling just comes like, wait. You hear that you speak so many languages. What's the first sentences that somebody needs to learn in a new language to survive and to start, creating a new life when you travel around the world? Places that you don't know anything, like Japan, Bulgaria, like random places. You don't know anything, not a word, not even like by serendipity. So we came to the list.
Yeah, so the conclusion I came to was these are the 3 sentences you need. The first one is, can I have this, please? Super useful, right? So you can...
Works for what?
Well, it allows you to buy food, right? Like in a supermarket or on a street, like vendor, or like if you buy a bus ticket, buy this, buy that, whatever. Super useful, right? Can I have this, please? It's polite, but it's like, give me something. Pointing on a menu, like everything. That's the first one. The second one was, where is the blank, right? Because basically everyone around the world knows what the word taxi is. It's pretty universal across all languages. The word hotel, pretty universal. The word toilet, it's either similar in other languages or people will understand it enough. Like English is pretty versatile. Like it's pretty well recognized. The really basic words are at least. Yeah. So like
parking, so they will understand it.
Right. So these key like locations, you can use that one really versatile phrase. Where is the, and then insert an English word here. And the third one was, how much is this? Because you want to know like the price of things, and then you can use like hand signals to do the rest. So it's like, how much is it? Oh, like €5, €10, whatever it is, right? And then with where is the blank, the previous one, with directions is like this way, that way, that way. Like it's all hand signals. Yeah. So these 3 sentences plus a bunch of like hand signals, you're getting by.
Expressions.
Exactly. No problem whatsoever. You can,
like more or stuff or things like that.
You can survive. You can literally survive on 3 sentences, I reckon. Because the reason I came to that conclusion, because I remembered when I was traveling through Korea years ago, I basically survived off about 3 sentences. I didn't know anything else in Korean except those 3 things. And I was like, I had zero problem. For like 2 months. So If I can do it,
Yeah.
anyone can do it.
Totally. And what are other places of the world that you've been enchanted? You were like, wow, I'm so glad I discovered this corner of this planet.
Yeah, South Korea, I love. I rave about South Korea. Food's amazing. The culture's amazing. People are amazing. Brazil, I love Brazil.
You mentioned Florianopolis.
Florianopolis.
You've been there?
I've been there, yeah. I love Florianopolis.
Yeah, man. Good spot.
I was in Rio for Carnival. That was super fun. Carnival is incredible. If you're a young dude like traveling and stuff, put Carnival on your to-do list because it is just it's nothing like it on the planet. Like,
Stirling approved.
yeah, man, it's nuts. Argentina's gorgeous. Chile, I really, really enjoyed my time in Chile, like along the coastline of Chile there. Yeah, I think Romania's gorgeous. Very underrated place, Romania.
Why?
The nature is amazing, man. The nature's incredible.
And the roads as well for
the roads are
driving?
perfect for driving.
Yeah.
Super safe, incredibly safe. One of the most Christian countries on the planet. Yeah, very, very lovely people. Like the little towns, like outside of Bucharest, like the little villages and towns, gorgeous architecture, stunning, like classic. Loads of Roman ruins there too, because Romania got the name from like it was the edge of the Roman Empire. They were Romans, like that was Romania. Right? And there's a thought. I don't know how much truth is behind this, but Romanian, the language, is actually Latin based, like Spanish, like French, Italian, right? There's a thought that Romanian, the language, might be as close as we can get to how the original Latin was spoken, because they were like the edge of the empire, and that was like Romanian is a language is different from like Bulgarian and the Slavic languages that surround it because it's more Latin, right? So that might have been like what ancient Latin actually sounded like, modern day Romanian. Just a fun little fact.
Wow. Didn't know that.
I think Tristan was the one who told me that.
Cool. Yeah. And when you travel so much, what are the essentials? Stirling's essentials when traveling, especially to make it, let's make it clear, unlimited budget to make traveling comfortable and something that you are like, I can't live without that now when I'm traveling. I really want that. I really value that when I'm taking here, there. It could be from, I always fly business class or I like private jet. You can also talk about this. It's interesting. How's that experience?
I need joggers. Like I can't travel without a pair of like really nice like dress shoes, like for going out to a nice restaurant, and I also need a pair of joggers so I can go like hikes and stuff. I have to have those two, like two different types of shoes, just so I can do everything. Everything else on top of that, I'm pretty flexible, to be honest. I mean,
really,
a working debit card is basically all I need, bro.
That can be a credit card really soon.
Yeah, you need to. You're trying to convince me about credit. Yeah, it's not even. I'm just trying to think. I don't really. I prefer to rent cars than like get taxis and stuff personally because I like to see a country. I like driving through it. You know, I really enjoy like the road like that. I used to hate driving when I was working 9 to 5. I hated the commute to like work. My least favorite thing. Now I don't have to do that. I like hitting the road, and I get to consume audiobooks while I'm doing it. So like when I'm traveling to another country, I'll very, very often like rent a car just for the sake of doing that. It's because it's the freedom of it, right? It's way more convenient than like renting buses and trains and dicking around with all that stuff. Even if I would much rather drive for 6 hours than take like a 1 hour plane flight. Much more, because that's 6 hours of an audiobook I can digest. It's 6 hours of seeing. I might see something cool that no one else gets to see. Like when I drove through Scotland, or to Scotland rather, drove past like a bunch of Hadrian's Wall and saw like the old Roman walls. I'm like, I would have not seen this if I'd taken a flight. You know, so it's the little things like that.
Yeah,
you get to appreciate a lot more.
It's about enjoying the journey instead of just straight to a destination.
Yeah, if I've got the flexibility, I'm not like on a super tight schedule. Then I will always drive. Yeah, much more fun.
Yeah, and what about these upgrade to business class or private jet? How was that for you?
Private jets are very, very fun. I've only done it twice. Was it 3 times?
Overvalued or underrated, or what do you think about that experience? For you,
I think because when I've done it, I've split it like 4 ways with the other guys. So it's actually not that ludicrous when you're splitting it amongst a few dudes. Surprisingly, not that much different from like a business class flight, really. Within Europe, super cool because you can, it's like 2 or 3 hours, whatever, bam, bam, go to any major city. Yeah, I think it's if you're flying business class already, you should try it because it's way more fun. You can smoke cigars and say whatever you want all through the flight. No one gives a shit. You can order. You get whatever food you want ordered. Like we had KFC and shit up on the plane. It's just like you can kind of make it your own thing.
Yeah.
Why not? The pilot, you can hop into the cockpit and see what the pilots are doing and like chit chat with them while they're flying the damn thing. Stewardesses are really super nice. It's just you get treated like royalty. Getting through security and out of security is a nice experience rather than an annoying one like going through regular commercial airport. Yeah, super fun. I would if you're flying business class, you should do it at least once. Just do it with a bunch of friends, split it, so it's nowhere near as expensive.
Totally. Yeah, and also you can bring more of these prohibited things in commercial planes. Yeah. Right? You can just bring whatever you want.
Exactly. Yeah. But this is something Tristan Tate taught me as well. He said that if you take a photo on a private jet, you have to take the photo when it's in the air, and you have to be able to see outside the window, because otherwise everyone will think you just hopped in a plane on the ground and you're fake doing it for a photo shoot. Everyone will assume that. Everyone will assume you're lying. So you have to prove that to haters wrong. You have to get a photo while you're in the air and it's visible in the sky outside.
Yeah,
that's the rule. So,
and the haters will still be haters and say you photoshopped that or all this stuff. So, yeah,
sure.
So whatever. Just take a video, right? It's difficult.
That too.
It's more difficult to fake.
Much harder to fake.
You just take a video showing the window.
That's true.
And going back.
That is
showing
also
the
true.
window again.
It's also true. Yes. But I really like flying business class across like the Atlantic, in between Miami and like Spain. It's actually enjoyable. Business class is like super fun. Yeah. Emirates, Qantas, Air New Zealand, great airlines to fly business class.
Yeah. Imagine cherry on the top when you can do that for free
with the credit card system.
The credit card.
Airline miles. All right, you're just going to convince me to get one. All right.
With an assistant, because it's true. No, just to give some context in here, having an assistant for that, it's so valuable.
Yeah.
Because you can have a lot of points. I mean, if you have expenses you run through your cards, you can accumulate 200, 400,000 points. And you can do a lot of stuff with that, but you need somebody who enters the website and checks the points and everything, because you don't have time for that. Yeah. And many people that accumulate these amounts, ridiculous amount of points, don't have time for that. So yeah, for everybody listening is, do the credit card game, get points, get miles, everything, just by running your card as you would do a debit card. But yeah, getting an assistant, somebody who can do that for sure.
Do all the annoying paperwork stuff.
Yeah, totally. We talked about trips, one type of trips, which is, when you travel to different places of the world, but there are other types of trips. There's an inside journey, an inside trip. Want to share about that?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not talking about that.
We'll keep it off record.
Broadcast.
You gotta come to a dinner or some, war room encounter to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, totally. But what about the affirmations part? Like the kind of messages that you tell yourself to become the person that you've become to this date.
Yeah, affirmations are interesting. I've been doing affirmations since I was a teenager. Like I think I learned about them when I was like 18 or something. And it's always been something I've kind of constantly revisited every like a couple of years. Like I'll spend like a few months really drilling into some affirmations, and then like the habit will kind of fall away, and then I'll pick it up again a few years later, and I'll go back. Occasionally I'll go back through like old journals and stuff and see the affirmations I had, and it's like, oh, that came true. Oh, so that one. Oh, and that one. And like it's literally rewiring your brain for how to think and how to manifest stuff in your life. And I don't mean manifest in like the bullshit woo-woo term. I mean like as in you'll actually do the work, right? But you need to like psyop yourself into success. It's you have to program your own brain, because otherwise everything else around you will program it for you. So you got to just be proactive with it. So it doesn't now. Some people don't use affirmations specifically. Some people just, the way they talk to themselves, their mental mantras and stuff are just positive and point in that direction anyway. Affirmations are just kind of like a more systematized way of doing it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of affirmations.
And how do you work them? You just tell them out loud in front of a mirror? How's your method?
I'll write them all down on a bit of paper, and then I'll like walk around and speak them out loud, because I always find that movement, kind of helps with it, right? And sometimes I'll actually just look at myself in the mirror while I'm saying it too, because I'm looking into my own eyes and I'm affirming something about the person in the mirror, right? Yeah, it's another way I do it. But yeah, really, it has to be that someone told me once that when you write affirmations, you can't use. You have to keep everything in the positive, not in that you can't use negatives. So for example, you can't use I don't eat sugar. Yeah. Because your subconscious mind will register just that as I eat sugar. It doesn't register negatives.
So you go, I eat healthy, or I eat the thing you want to eat.
Yeah, correct. Like, I don't know if that's true, but someone told me that years ago, and I've just believed it ever since.
Yeah.
So maybe they were helping me, but
it was like, well, I mean, it's working out pretty well.
Yeah,
like the kind of life you just built.
It's more of a case of
if it's true,
I didn't want to accidentally cock something up by saying, so using that example. So yeah, don't use like negatives like that when you're writing your affirmations out. Yeah.
Totally. And besides the positive things that you add, which is the affirmations, what bullshit did you cut from your life? You're like, okay, I'm not going to consume this anymore. Because it's like cleaning a house. I have this analogy of you can mop the house, but if it's dirty, first wait. Just like broom it, you know?
Yep.
Make it clean, and then you mop it. But there's no point in mopping dirt in your home. Yeah. So what's the thing you've removed from your daily day, for example, 10 years ago and now?
A lot of negative self-talk, I'd say.
What kind of
self-talk? It's kind of hard to remember them now.
Yeah, what you told yourself, right?
Because I got rid of it, right? Yeah. It's not because it's not really no longer in my thought patterns. But I definitely used to be very negative and have a lot of negative self-talk around my own self-esteem, my own self-worth, and so it was a lot of sort of reprogramming that, getting rid of that, and programming the complete opposite, right? So that's definitely a lot of stuff I got rid of, like from my teenage years. Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad I can't remember any of that.
That's a good sign.
So it means it worked.
You erased.
Yeah, like
you formatted that. That card.
Completely reformatted it. Yep. Factory reset, and we're good. But I remember once I had a friend tell me, like, he said with such conviction, he said, people can't change. I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, people never change. Like, people are always exactly the same their whole life. They don't change at all. You can't change who you are. Like, really? Like, seems a bit defeatist. And guess who hasn't changed?
Yeah.
And guess who has? Like, I just don't accept that. It's not like me when I was like 18 is a very different person to who I am now. Like, in every aspect, like the way I think, the way I problem solve, my ability to handle stress, my sense of humor, like everything is different about me, and I'm happy that that's the case because I like where I'm at now. I didn't like where I was then, so yeah, like you are very, very moldable as a person, your psyche is incredibly moldable.
Yeah, your mind and also your body. For example, you are strong. Is it something that you also kept during the years? It's a compound effect, the body that you have right now?
Yeah, I used to be scrawny. I was
Tell us about that.
Super scrawny as a kid. I couldn't put on any muscle as a kid. Super, super scrawny. Yeah. Well, played basketball my life. Did a lot of long distance running too. That might have been why I was so scrawny, because I was just running all the time. But yeah, it wasn't until like my early 20s I actually started to hit the gym and like lift and get like a bit bigger. And once I started to focus on that, like bang, like started to actually build like some shape to myself. Because my dad's got giant fucking arms, huge fucking forearms. And I was like, how the hell does he, like, I know from a kid with these fucking scrawny arms. I was like, how?
Am I adopted?
Yeah, like, how's this working?
Are you my dad?
And it was literally, I just had to stop running so much and like hit the gym a bit more. Because like, look at Olympic athletes. Like, just look at the physiques of different athletes, and that'll tell you what a sport or an activity will produce. All the long distance runners are skinny motherfuckers. There's no jacked like marathon runners, but the sprinters are jacked, right?
They are.
So sprinting is actually way better for developing, like, let's say, an aesthetic body, right? Than like long distance running.
Yeah. And what's some fundamental that over these 8-10 years you've stick to? Something that you say, okay, if I had to focus on these things to build strong body, aesthetic body, I would focus on this, and this.
In terms of mental models or just actual activities?
Well, both. It could be from mental, but also what kind of activities or what do you focus on your training routine to build a strong body, especially when you're traveling and all this life and working and making a lot of money.
It's a bit harder when you're traveling, to be honest. I'm a big fan of sprints. I really like sprints because it doesn't take up much time. It's super high intensity. But burns fat like nobody's business. Great for your cardiovascular limit. Really, really good. Big fan of that. Big fan of really what do you call it? It was a concept from Dorian Yates, I believe. Like negatives, like very, very slow negatives on any kind of bodybuilding kind of exercise. So be it bicep curls, chest presses, tricep extensions, whatever.
So you go
really slowing down.
This,
Slowing down the negative is going to really help to put on size with basically any muscle mass like that.
Time under tension.
Yeah, it's kind of a time and attention thing. Very, very slow, consistent reps and activating what's called the mind-muscle connection. So knowing, feeling the contraction, really, really feeling the contraction as much as possible, and if you're, especially when you're isolating different muscle groups, really being able to feel the exact muscle you're trying to hit. If you can't feel it, sometimes you're going to be working it even if you can't feel it. But I always if I had a trainer with me or something, I'd get them to poke it. If I couldn't quite feel it, just tap the muscle I'm trying to target so I can make sure there's some kind of connection there. Because I used to have a tiny chest before. I never used to be able to really feel my pecs when I was exercising, and I just focused on just that for years.
We gotta find a picture of that, man, because
I'll try to
it's
find
it's I see it right here. Is can't be true,
bro. I can find one after.
Yeah, you send it, and we can put it here because it's
scrawny,
what the heck.
In terms of mentality, I'd probably just say push that comfort zone constantly, because your body will get used to things just as much same as your mind. You'll get, if you keep doing this exact same workout routine again and again and again, eventually, even if you are adding weight to it, your body's still going to kind of get acclimatized to it. And you're not really going to see much results. That's why I personally like having a trainer, so I don't know what's coming.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's a shortcut as well.
Yeah,
having a trainer.
It's one less thing for me to think about in the day. I don't have to worry about it. I know he's got it covered. And if I don't like the way I work out with a certain guy, I'll just find a new trainer. It's pretty straightforward, right? But I just let him and I'll probably, to be fair, I'll actually push myself more with a trainer than I ever do by myself. It's probably one of my biggest weaknesses actually, is that I will push further in a competitive scenario or under instruction than I will independently. But I know that about myself, so I set myself up for a win by just getting a trainer.
Totally. Yeah. Just the accountability of knowing that person, I don't know how you were with your trainer. With mine, I report every single day.
Right.
So I know that, for example, today before coming here, 8 kilometers, and I was I was tired. I was I got to put them in because it's going to be impossible after the podcast.
Right.
It's I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So I knew that this accountability of he is expecting me, or I myself, I want to be accountable, be held accountable, and send that screenshot of 8 kilometers done, makes them happen.
Yeah.
So massive hack.
That's good.
Yeah. So we talked about the shortcuts of the War Room being a shortcut for your business, your network, etc. Having a trainer being a shortcut for your physique.
And it saves on, and it more importantly, it saves on mental capacity for the day. Yeah, bandwidth. It saves on decision making fatigue. Because because I used to do all my own workout routines and stuff in my 20s when I got into, first time I got into really, really great shape. It was basically all I was focusing on. I was working a really simple job as a bartender, didn't have to think about anything else. I was pretty poor, but I was jacked. But it was because all of my mental energy was just going into diet and exercise. That was it. And it's okay, I know that it's possible. I know how much, but I also know how much mental bandwidth it takes for me to really, really dial that shit in. So I'm just going to hand that off onto someone else. Same way I'd delegate customer service emails. Same way I delegate my accounting. Blah blah blah. It's just cool. I'll delegate it to someone else who's going to focus on just one thing specifically. Yeah.
Totally. So what other shortcuts do you have in your life? Because what you achieved at your age, it's something that some people in their 60s they haven't achieved yet, and you achieved it in your 30s.
Yeah.
So it's like you definitely took shortcuts in life that
What was
just
it?
compressed time like this.
I think it would probably be. We kind of talked about it a little bit before, like the idea of choosing the right vehicle
Yeah.
for a business.
Yeah.
Recognizing your strengths is really a shortcut, and not trying to improve your weaknesses. Like I know what I'm shit at, and I know what I'm good at, and it's just finding other people to fill those gaps in the business where I'm not very talented. Like I'm not a good video editor, but I'm great. I'll find someone who's great at video editing, right? So I can double down on what I'm actually good at, which is very, very different. So yeah, being able to recognize your own personal strengths and weaknesses, and like being super honest with it and be like, okay, cool, then I need to just do this thing.
Delegate the rest.
Yeah, and figuring out, and then on top of that, I guess with the business, like figuring out one of the best shortcut I figured out early on in the business was like, what are the key like levers I need to pull to double the income, to increase the bottom line number. Like, it was very early on that I figured out, like, and I'm kind of glad I figured it out, was basically focusing on emails, email signups, right? So basically everything in the business is kind of engineered towards like getting more people on my email list, everything. So it's like, if I know if that number goes up, then the bank account goes up. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. It's a direct correlation. Cool. I don't need to know much more than that. I simplify it.
Yeah.
Right. I could sit there and be like, oh, the conversion rate's this and opt-in rate is this and blah, 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 and look at everything. Okay, we can do that. But
how many signups?
Yeah, it's really just like, all right, I want the number to go up. So what thing do I focus on the most? Or where do I direct all the attention I can generate? I direct it to the email sign up. That's it. Simple. And then we just focus on getting as much attention as possible through cranking out more and more content. Right? Once it wasn't a case of like, I need to optimize my funnel, or I need to optimize this, or I need to work on more products, or more of this, or more of that. It was literally just that one thing will move the bottom line more than anything else.
Yeah, totally. And what people can expect. Wrapping up this episode today, we talked about so many things, but you're talking about the signups, which is perfect. What people can expect when they join, when they sign up. I want to sign up. What I'm gonna find?
They can expect like about 2 years of my like internal thoughts on like dating, relationships, male-female dynamics, a bunch of stuff like that. All the newsletters that I put out are actually written by me. Like
these are not delegated.
This is actually something I didn't delegate, and I actually hate writing too. So I probably should have delegated, but I wanted it to be my words. Like I want it to be genuine, like my actual thoughts, because it's just constant advice I'm trying to give out to guys. So yeah, that's what you basically get. You just get like an endless stream of my consciousness into your email inbox. Yeah.
And to share one example of one recent email that you sent about one topic, some advice.
I had a series that was like false gods, and it was talking about like one false god I talk about was like the false god of comfort, and how people put comfort on like a pedestal as this thing to aspire towards. Like people think about it like, oh, I work a 9 to 5, work 5 days a week, so I can spend the weekend relaxing. Right? Oh, I've worked a long day at work, so I'm going to come home and chill on the couch and watch Netflix. Like, I'm going to drive to the shops instead of walking. They prioritize comfort as this like almighty goal when it's really not. It's actually the thing that's probably holding you back more than anything else, is like your desire for comfort. You need to kind of go in the opposite direction.
This, I deserve this, I earned this, right? You didn't earn shit. Yeah. It's like, get back to work again.
Get back to work.
Yeah. It's like 5 days of work, you don't deserve shit. Just get back to work on Saturday and on Sunday.
Yeah. That's the only way you're going to separate yourself from the average person, is just put more work in than they do.
Totally.
Simple.
So fantastic. Stirling, and for everybody listening, they can sign up. We're gonna put the links down below so they can sign up to these thoughts that you are writing and that they can get directly from you.
Excellent.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, G.
Talking about all these topics.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. And the last question that I always ask to everybody in this podcast is, who would you like to see here next?
I think you should get the guy who put the studio together, Luke Barnett, on this show. I think he would be
War Room member.
Super interesting guest for you to have. Former UFC fighter. Very, very interesting guy. Yeah, and a really great dude too.
Fantastic. So we're going to get in touch with him.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. And for everybody listening, thanks one more episode. And I'll see you in the next one. Extraordinary. Badeu.